What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. A while back I discussed the gym leaders by grouping them together in their various ranks at which we encounter them across the regions, to find out which would be both the worst and the best at each unique station. However, a major part of what makes these leaders so memorable, or not, is from the gyms themselves. These buildings may look similar on the outside, but they can be filled with anything and everything, only limited by the imagination of the one in charge. So let's take a look at each of the gyms by rank and see which of their puzzles are the best for players to experience. Now obviously we will start at the lowest level, but as you might expect, these first gyms aren't usually all that intricate. The gyms for Pewter, Violet, Rustboro, Orberg, Striaton, and even Aspertia City are all pretty much just slight variations of the same idea of other sometimes avoidable trainers just standing in front of the leader. However, once we hit the 3DS, this finally changed with the Santaloon City Gym and Viola's Web. And while I do think that Milo's Wooloo Chase is entertaining for the player, as well as I'm sure of the audience that's watching above in the stands, I think that Ilima's first trial is the best. Now, the Alola trials might seem to have an advantage in this exercise already, since they usually will have more involved puzzles than your standard gyms. But I think that the Verdant Cavern is wholly unique, especially next to all of the carbon copies from the first 5 generations. You get to run around and try to trap these young goose in their hidey holes. It can be annoying if you don't get the rhythm of it, but the fact that it does factor in a modicum of skill rather than just whether you'd prefer to skip one of those trainers means that you have greater influence on your own outcome. Not to mention the fact that you can actually catch some of these wild Pokemon when you're done means that this has got to be the best of the initial challenges across all of the Pokemon regions. The second rank of gyms might be the greatest range that we see, of super simple layouts like Cerulean or our first time in Eterna, and then there's some more elaborate options like the spotty lights at the Dewford Gym, or fishing on Lapras at Brooklet Hill, which I personally love. But for this, I think I will have to put up the Azalea Town Gym from Johto. Not the Gen 2 version, that's basically just a repeat of the Celadon Gym from last time. But this changed immensely in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Here they decided to actually create a puzzle, and they went all out on making it bug-themed by having you ride some sort of giant mechanical spider on webs across giant chasms. But even better is after you fight the trainers on your way through, you can change the tracks by lowering certain threads to let you access new areas, so it does actually respond to your own decisions. I also appreciate when a gym doesn't force you to fight all of the trainers beforehand, but does reward you for doing so. So perhaps it's simply because I admire the good people of Azalea for coming together to bring vast improvements to their gym. I'm sure that Kurt had a big part in that, but I think this unique setup makes it the best second gym that we've seen to date. The third gyms across Pokemon can sometimes still be fairly easy, such as Watson's Puzzle and Mauville. It's straightforward, but it serves its purpose. It's only the third gym, it doesn't have to be that hard after all. There are some more difficult layouts like Veilstone or Hearthome that do have a lot to do, and I do think that it's worth a look to check out Castelia City. Not the first time we were there with the Honeycomb, that's just disgusting. But in Black and White 2, the bug-type game of Chutes and Ladders is pretty cool. But if I had to put one of the third gyms on the top, I would lean towards Chaleur City. You might not immediately agree that Corina's spectacular Skatorama is deserving, but let me explain. X and Y to date are the only Pokemon games to include skating as a means of transport at all, as a nice intermediate between running and biking. And you may have practiced this new game mechanic before, but incorporating it into the gym only serves to highlight it. There are ramps in here, rails to grind on, and the whole thing looks like an awesome mix of laser tag and roller derby. So I'm still not sure that it meshes exactly with the fighting type, but I do think that it made the gym a standout for doing something that literally no other game could. Next we have the fourth slot of gyms, which houses some great ideas, like the several story tree that's somehow inside Ramos's gym. I do like the Lush Jungle trial with Mallow's special secret recipe, but that is fairly simple by just using Stoutland to sniff it out. I also really like the Nimbasa City Gym theme park vibe that they've got going. It looks incredible, and the rides are quite fun. But if you do miss the narrow window for getting on the rides, you do have to wait in line for far too long for the next go-around. As for the overall best, I think I will say the Pastoria Gym. Again, you might not agree, but if we're talking specifically about puzzles in gyms, you've got to admit that Pastoria has a nice one with all of the switches that change the level of the water inside. The buttons are even color-coded to the height of the water that they'll produce, so this gym has a good balance of backtracking and problem-solving, but not to the point that it gets annoying. And the spread of trainers throughout seems to be the Goldilocks perfect amount of just right, where it's not overbearing, yet doesn't waste your time. We probably should have guessed that Crasher Wake would know how to make a good gym. In the fifth bracket of gyms, we once again have a wide range, from Norman's themed battle rooms, to answering quiz questions for Clement, or answering quiz questions for Opal, or answering math questions for Fantina. Wow, there's a lot of quizzes at the fifth rank of gym for some reason. Anyway, as much as I admire Chuck's similar Gen 4 upgrade, I do think that I have to go with the Driftvale Gym. Clay is an excellent gym leader, and what makes this gym so great is that it has two solid puzzles back to back. See, in Black and White, Driftvale offers up a gym that descends deep into the earth, appropriate for the ground type, and it's up to you to traverse these rickety elevator shafts up and down to find the right one down to the bottom to face Clay. But maybe that one isn't to your liking, so okay, let's try Black and White 2, where the gym has been revamped as a series of conveyor belts. Honestly, it's a pretty similar kind of puzzle, where you simply choose directions blindly, hoping not to get lost. It's just this time it's all on one story. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the update, but really any time in Driftvale is gonna make you feel pretty good for solving the puzzle. The sixth rank of gyms is pretty extreme in terms of qualities. They seem to either be good, bad, or just mediocre. There are the warp puzzles that Sabrina has in Saffron Gym, and that's basically copied outright by Valerie years later. And I really think the Four Tree Gym should be considered here, because its puzzle of rotating turnstiles to make your way through a maze is expertly done. It's up to you to figure out how these shapes are supposed to turn, and in what order, while fighting off trainers to meet the flying leader at the end. But ultimately, I think that maybe I'll have to give this top spot to the Thrifty Megamart. A far cry from the fancy legitimacy of a sanctioned gym, this rundown, haunted store is the site of one of the best trials in the Alola region. Here, once again, they thought to integrate an exclusive feature of that generation, this time being the camera feature that allows you to see ghosts that you couldn't with the naked eye, all while following the disheveled husk of what looks like a ragged Pikachu into the back room to be attacked by a crazed fanatic. Oh, silly me, there's no such thing as a back room in there. The fact that you can then catch all of these ghosts after, and it's also where I got my shiny Mimikyu, is an excellent bonus. But like I said before, if you don't count that one, there's always Fortree to fall back on. The seventh gym selection was honestly kind of hard. I mean, you've got 3 different ice puzzles that basically all just have you slide around, not to mention the 3 distinct variations of the same gym in Moss Deep City. But ultimately, I think for this one, I will give it to the Anistar Gym from the Kalos region. Entering, you might not think much of it at all. It's just a simple empty room that could be in any house. But when you go to the exact center, the world flies apart and you find yourself suddenly in space. This gym has you running along bridges of energy, I guess. Sure hope they hold up. But as you move across this small sphere teleporting between the levels, you can behold beautiful Pokémon constellations while taking on all of the psychics. The fact that the maze is just disorienting enough to not be a boring gimme makes it a fun return to form in a way after the last few Kalos gyms. But it's done in a way that we've never seen before or since. I mean, were we ever really in the gym at all? Was it all in our heads? We'll never know. And then of course there's the final rank of gym with the 8th leader in each region. And at this point the gyms usually go pretty big with giant rotating panels or perhaps even a pit of lava. And I have to say, I actually really like the Hammerlock Stadium version of this, where you're taken to a hidden room with ancient artifacts, and then challenged by dragon trainers, each with their own different weather condition, which is used to prepare you for the sandstorm strategy of the leader at the end. But out of all of the 8th gyms, if I had to pick one for the best, I've got to give it to the Sotopolis gym from the Hoenn region. This gym may seem a little humble for the final one in the game, but the inside is one of the best puzzles in all of Pokémon. Here there are beautiful platforms of ice that you can walk across, but if you walk in one spot more than once, it'll break and you'll fall through, forced to fight trainers on your way back out. Well, no problem, you can just walk right across, right? Well, to move forward, you have to step on every tile at least once. This is the brilliance of this gym. You can correctly solve these puzzles and then just head straight for the water-type leader at the end, or if even your best attempts go awry, you can avoid certain trainers on your way back if you so choose. It helps to fall on the right spot, but you can know where the trainers will be because they match up with the stones above. Which does make sense because they couldn't let you just fall right on their heads. It can be annoying if you have trouble getting the hang of it, but the fact that it can be done by intellect alone, yet still lets you take on some of the trainers if you wish, and not even all of them if you don't, means that this gym is extremely versatile on such a simple premise. So for my money, no final gym has been quite as rewarding to solve as the puzzle that they made for us in Sotopolis. So, those are all of the best puzzles at each gym rank. Which gyms do you have the most fun completing? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!